Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Christy Don One, and I am back with another video. Opening night for the NBA. Two games. We're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, as well as the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And 5 things to me that a lot of people are speculating on, and some people got answers too. All right, now let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thanks for the thumbs up. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. Okay, to me, it showed on two fronts that game that how deep the Cleveland Cavaliers are. Okay, the Cleveland Cavaliers are extremely deep in every position, and they really don't have to focus on one player other than LeBron James. They really don't have to focus and force feed the ball to one player, particularly since LeBron James is an ISO player, Dwayne Wade's an ISO player, Derrick Rose is an ISO player. With this new scheme that they done incorporated, they're not going to focus primarily on the ISO players pushing and feeding the ball to them. Okay, now they have the luxury of picking their spots, picking the right opportunity for certain players. They're pretty much spreading the wealth with the ball. Derrick Rose looked good. Dwayne Wade looked okay. LeBron James, it was LeBron James, even though he even stated that, due to that injury, he couldn't really train as much as he wanted to train, and he felt like he was a step slower. But to me, I thought LeBron James looked good, okay? And LeBron James is, he's been in the NBA for a while. We're not going to get the LeBron James we got when he first came to Cleveland. We're not even going to get the LeBron James that we saw when he was in Miami. I think LeBron James this year, he's going to be a step slower, but he's still going to produce. Maybe not on a high level of what he's accustomed of doing, but his production is going to be very beneficial for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Boston Celtics, they showed me something, and even though I said in my other videos that the Boston Celtics are not going to win the NBA, be representatives of the East this year. I feel like it's going to take a couple of seasons. Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? How you doing, homie? It's gonna take a couple of seasons for the Boston Celtics to be that team. Okay, right now, and as of right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be the beast of the East, and there's going to be a lot of other teams that's going to push the envelope, and they want their position of being beasts of the East. Not only the Celtics, but the Milwaukee Bucks as well. So there's a lot of other teams that are going to challenge the Cleveland Cavaliers, but overall, I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be beasts of the East this year. Now, maybe next year it will change, but we're only focusing on and worrying on about this year. The two the player that they drafted, the Boston Celtics this year, as well as the other, to me, they showed me a lot. Okay, for them to be that young, they to me, when I saw them play, they didn't back down. They showed a lot of hunger. They showed a lot of potential, and the future looks good for the Boston Celtics. Now, Brendan Haywood had an injury earlier in the first quarter, He's done for the season, and that's a blow to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, to the Boston Celtics. But still, he will be back. He's young enough to where he can overcome this injury. Paul George had a similar injury like this. Okay, not when his not the type of I think Gordon Hayward injured his foot as well as his knee, and it's going to require his kneecap is going to require surgery, and I feel like he's definitely out for this year, and hopefully he can come back from this next year. We're going to have to wait and see. We have to wait and figure out what the doctors are going to tell the rest of the world about Gordon Hayward, but I hope he has a speedy recovery. Even though Skip Bayless took that opportunity to tweet something ridiculous, talking about, instead of focusing more on Gordon Hayward, sending your wishes and your prayers out to him, he took that caveat of saying, well, it's going to make LeBron James' path to the East easier. And to me, there's a time and place for everything. But when your first tweet, your first opportunity to talk about the injury, you immediately talk about LeBron James. I felt like I knew Skip Bayless was going to do that. However, I felt like Skip Bayless was going to wait a while, at least comment on the injury alone, okay? Because right now, as far as the injury goes, the injury has no impact on LeBron James. And thanks for the like, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't see how that coincides with anything, okay? Particularly in a lot of NBA circles, the Cleveland Cavaliers was going to be the representatives of the East, with or without Gordon Hayward, okay? But the Boston Celtics showed me a lot. They showed me the future, and the future looks bright for the Boston Celtics. The Cleveland Cavaliers showed me something because they're deep in every position, okay? So now they don't have to worry about force feeding the ball to like two ISO players, and these two ISO players are going to have plays incorporated for them, meaning Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. Now you can spread the wealth and push the ball around. So that's very beneficial for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So even though, and the Boston Celtics had the lead in the second half, but they ran out of gas. You can clearly tell they ran out of gas. I don't know, because of the Gordon Hayward injury. Maybe they forgot about it, but then they started thinking about Gordon Hayward, and then they lost focus on the game. But the Cleveland Cavaliers showed me something, and the Boston Celtics showed me something. All right, now let's talk about the other game, the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Okay, the Golden State Warriors proved to the world that they're going to be the team. Thanks for all the thumbs up, by the way. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. The Golden State Warriors, and I got a very bad connection, so it's going to break up on and off. The Golden State Warriors showed to the world that this team is better than the 72-win team, and better than last year's team who won the chip. Okay, they are deep. They are loaded. It seems like Swaggy P is happy with his position. He scored like 20 points. Okay, so Swaggy P is okay with his position with the Golden State Warriors. JaVale McGee, I didn't see too much of him. primarily because the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets were playing who could score the most. Okay, Chris Paul, I really didn't see a lot of Chris Paul because they was forcing the ball with James Harden. But I feel like when the season goes along, I feel like Chris Paul is going to put his imprint on this team. He is a leader. Okay, so eventually Chris Paul is going to get the team to work in one system, put responsibility on players, and make it so to where everybody, they're going to be spreading the wealth with the Houston Rockets. The question with the Houston Rockets is their defense. Okay, as far as the Golden State Warriors, they're going to try to outshoot the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I understand that, but what about the Oklahoma City Thunder? Okay, what about the other teams in the West, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics? I feel like teams that can match them up talent-wise, they're going to struggle with those teams if they don't start implementing defense. Even though every team Mike D'Antoni has coached really didn't emphasize a lot on defense. It was mainly about offense. So teams that have talent to compete with them on a day in, night out basis, they're going to struggle with those teams. And the teams that clearly they have the better roster, they're going to win those games. And their record is going to be fool's gold, because a lot of people are going to think, oh my God, look at the Houston Rockets. They let's just say, for example, they won 60 games. Okay, they won 60 games. They're blowing out a team, so it's quite obvious that they're going to win the NBA Finals. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about that because of the fool's gold that they see with the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets, they still, to me, have to emphasize a lot on defense, because you're going to have to, when the playoffs start, it becomes a half-court game, okay? And there's a reason why a lot of these clubs are in the playoffs, okay? Because they have a half-court system and they have defense, okay? Now, there are exceptions to the rule, the Golden State Warriors, but the Golden State Warriors have emphasized this blueprint for the past 4 years. So it's, the Golden State Warriors can probably overcome, and they do have defense. They do incorporate defense. They have team defense. So they do make stops. But I don't see that with the Houston Rockets. With the Houston Rockets, it's all about the offense, and has less to do about the defense. And I feel like Chris Paul is going to grab this team and emphasize the importance of defense, at least to make some type of stops. Okay, and I hope Chris Paul do that immediately, because the one thing about jump shooting teams, when they start tasting the success of seeing their baskets fall in, they tend to gravitate to that. And then they stop forgetting about the other things as well. Is Gordon Hayward injured? Yes, he is injured. Gordon Hayward is out for the season. All right. But what I saw with the Houston Rockets, as well as the Golden State Warriors, to me, I knew this game was going to go down that way. It was going to be a high-paced, high-scoring game, okay? And, I mean, it was a great NBA tip-off opening night. Feel sorry for Gordon Hayward, all right? I wish him the best of luck. As far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, they clearly shown that they're going to be the beast of the East. The Boston Celtics, They shown that they have a big and bright future. So when the Cleveland Cavaliers break this team up at the end of the season, next year, the horizon is going to be bright for the Boston Celtics, okay? If the Cleveland Cavaliers break it up. I feel like they are going to break it up because Derrick Rose is not going to sign an extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers because the Cleveland Cavaliers don't have the funds to, because Derrick Rose is looking for one of those big payday contracts. He's not going to get it from the Cleveland Cavaliers, all right? Dwayne Wade is going to move on, all right? Maybe to another team, maybe go back to Miami. LeBron James is definitely going to move on because really when you think about it, the Cleveland Cavaliers are set up for is set up for just tearing this team down and becoming a lottery team. You see they still keeping that pick. A lot of people felt like, oh, they're going to trade that pick for something else for another player. I don't see that happening. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to keep that pick. That's their insurance policy. It could be a top 10 pick, okay? And that's a decent player, particularly in the top 10. So the Cleveland Cavaliers see they see their future down the road. LeBron James definitely see his future down the road. And the Cleveland Cavaliers as well as LeBron James, they just have totally two different perspectives of their future. And their future cannot coordinate with one another. All right. The Golden State Warriors, to me, they're still going to win the West. And they're still going to present problems with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers are better equipped. They have depth in all positions. Okay, so they don't have to necessarily focus and put all their eggs in one basket on one player. If one player has a bad night, they can take that player out and put another player in. Okay, they don't have to depend on hoping that J.R. Smith makes his shots. If J.R. Smith doesn't make his shots, they got Dwayne Wade, and vice versa. Okay, if Kevin Love is having a bad night defensively, they can put Christian Thompson in. Okay, so and Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, to me, you don't have to primarily focus on Derrick Rose. If Derrick Rose has a bad night, you put Isaiah Thomas in. Now, Isaiah Thomas is going to struggle a bit because when he was with Boston, he was the ball dominant player. I mean, he always had the ball. He took the ball. I mean, they inbound, they give it to Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas take it down the court. LeBron James holds that responsibility. Okay, so Isaiah Thomas is going to have to prove that he can play without the ball. Okay, so he's going to have to work on that, and the only way you're going to be able to work on that is getting back on the court and playing with these guys. Now, there are going to be certain instances where LeBron James will allow Isaiah Thomas to take the ball down. All right, particularly since LeBron James is a little bit older. All right, and they don't want to wear him out too much because he does a lot. All right, but at the same time, the rest of the time, Isaiah Thomas is going to have to play without the ball. And can he do that on a consistent basis? That's yet to be determined, yet to be seen. But like I said, when he implements himself with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they'll have time to figure that out along the way. Okay? So, crazy wild night. Very good night for the NBA. All right? Particularly since the NFL, when you look at their numbers, they're tilting a little bit, and the NBA ratings and numbers are going up. All right, and at the end of the game, I forgot to mention this. There you can clearly tell LeBron James and Kyrie Irving has no hard feelings with one another. They hugged it out and knotted it up. So clearly there's no malice in the two players. And like I said in my videos, I understood why Kyrie Irving wanted to do this. Okay, it wasn't about LeBron James. It was more so, or LeBron James referring to him as the kid. Okay, I think a lot of people took that terminology and just threw it on social media trying to make a point, and it wasn't a good point. Isaiah Thomas saw the writing on the wall. Okay, oh, and it wasn't about being the man. All right, he wanted his own team. It was none of that. It was the simple fact of it was he's been playing with the Cleveland Cavaliers for the past 3 years. So if anybody knows the Cleveland Cavaliers is Kyrie Irving, and he probably saw the writing on the wall. He probably saw this as far as this team is going to go with this, and the uncertain future with the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, with their GM, Dan Gilbert, LeBron James. It's just too many parts that you don't know for a fact what's going. You don't know the future to none of those parts. And maybe he wanted to go to an organization that he can clearly see in the Boston Celtics that Gordon Hayward's not going anywhere. Those two studs that they drafted are not going. They're definitely not going anywhere. Marcus Smart is definitely not going anywhere unless they trade him. And the coach is not going anywhere. Plus, Danny Ainge is not going anywhere. Danny Ainge is really improving the Boston Celtics. Okay, so maybe he wanted to go to a organization that was stable, that he don't have to worry or figure out, is Danny Ainge going to stay with Boston? Are these players going to stay with Boston? He don't have to worry about that with the Boston Celtics. Now all he needs to focus on is the season. And maybe that was the bottom line with his thinking. Plus, he played with the Cleveland Cavaliers, so I feel like he knows something that kind of tilted him to this decision of him leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, so very interesting. It's only one game. You can't really determine who's going to win the championship with this one game. However, nothing has changed. The Cleveland Cavaliers are still going to be beasts of the East. The Boston Celtics have a bright future, okay, for like the next 10 years. They have a very bright future. It's just the future is not now. And that's why we call it the future. The future is later, not now, okay? The Houston Rockets, they can score, but that's not the reason why they traded for Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul is going to implement a belief to the Houston Rockets that we need to develop some type of core of defense, team defense, put responsibility on individuals, and when they have when they have a responsibility for defense, i.e. James Harden, okay, which it is not going to be a bad thing. I feel like Chris Paul is going to get in the faces of these players and implement, if you want to take it to the next level, we have to implement defense here. Yes, I understand y'all like scoring, but we need to implement defense here. And I think that's Chris Paul is going to put his touch into this Houston Rockets team, and they're going to try to, well, they're not going to try, they're going to implement some type of defensive repertoire with the Houston Rockets. Okay, scoring wise, Houston Rockets look like the Houston Rockets. Well, every Mike D'Antoni team can score. Okay, that if you watch that game to figure out, if you watch that game with the intentions of can the Houston Rockets score, then you're delusional. Yeah, the Houston Rockets can score, but can they stop teams? That's the question at hand. Chris Paul is going to make sure that question is answered. Okay, and the Golden State Warriors, they look better this year than last year. And the last year they won the chip. And the year before that year they didn't win the chip, but they won. They beat broken the Bulls' win streak in a season. Okay, this team clearly is better than those two teams. All right. The Cleveland Cavaliers can compete with the Golden State Warriors. They're going to win more than just one game like they did last year. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Golden State Warriors are still going to win the chip. Unless something changes, unless there's an injury that's coming down the road, or if the Cleveland Cavaliers can add just one more superstar on that roster. A lot of things can happen, and there's really no other players to trade for, all right, that's going to transcend your team to the next level. I mean, all the players that you could trade for are already traded, okay? Yeah. Now, I know people are talking about Boogie Cousins going to Cleveland. I really don't see that, okay? But it is what it is. Guys, tell me what you think. Sorry for the long stream. Rate, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate everybody that comes to my live streams and hitting the like button and watching. That's very appreciative from me. I mean, I'm giving y'all my my opinions on that. Hopefully later on this evening I'll talk about Skip Bayless. We're gonna have to wait and see on that if I have time. But it's your boy, I'm Chris the Down One. I'm out, guys.